Hi, I'm Rachel Stevens, and I'm great company.
S Club 7 had this very sort of pristine image. And then the boys.
Oh my God.
They were called smoking weed.
I know. Can you even believe it? Bliff Club 7.
Bliff Club 7.
How great.
That is unbelievable. I heard that you were in Sony
Yeah.
and you were going to see your brother.
I had no money. I went in, and he was working in the canteen. I went in there for a free lunch.
And you were spotted.
I got approached by these two producers who were putting together this solo project. And they approached me and said, "Can you sing?" And I mean, honestly, I mean, that was...
Can I? These two producers come up and say, we like the look of you. We would love you to be in this band.
Yes.
What do you say then?
I was like, yeah. I mean, I was very... I was always someone who was like very driven, very determined, and any opportunity that came my way, I would like go for it. But I hadn't sort of grown up going to drama school, auditioning, being this sort of, I just loved music and I loved singing.
But you love being on stage?
Well, I never really was on stage before
Not in
that.
school or anything like that?
No, I was always the tree, or like, you know what I mean? Honestly, I was...
Rachel,
No,
get out of here.
you.
You sorry. You were not the tree in the corner.
I promise you. I was never the lead in the play. I was quite... Yeah, I really wasn't. So I literally learned on the job. I mean,
Sorry, hang on a second.
Yeah.
So you had no dreams or aspirations to be a singer?
Oh, I did.
You did? Okay.
Oh my God, yeah.
Fine,
But they were
okay.
they were kind of like... They weren't... I don't know. I went to like ballet when I was little, and you know, the dance, and I loved making up dance routines with my friend, you know, all that kind of thing. And I would sing I literally would sing all the time, and there was always music in our house. And I remember one of the my dad really was passionate about music, so we used to like go out on drives together and listen to music, and so I was always around it, and I was always singing. And yeah, my God, I dreamed of being a pop star, but it wasn't like I'm going to be a pop star. It was like, I always loved fashion. So I went to fashion college, and that was my plan. I was like, right, I just want to get out and start working and making money. And so I went out and got a job once I left the London College of Fashion. And
what was the job?
The job, you know, S Club kind of found me. Well, it did, not kind of. It did find me. It wasn't something that I went out, you know, I wasn't auditioning all the time and all that kind of thing.
So you had these, you had these private dreams within you that you were like, oh, I would love to do that. I'd love to be this pop star, but it wasn't something that you were really looking for.
I guess someone comes up to you and asks you that. Well, I don't know. Would everyone say yeah? I don't know. Would everyone try and do it and go for it?
I think a lot of people, extroverted people will, but you sort of say, oh, I was a bit introverted and things like that. So
I'm a total contradiction in every sense of the word.
I don't want to say
it. Are you getting that?
I don't want to say
Are you getting
it.
that from our conversation,
right?
I know.
But it's
Trust
amazing.
Me, it's challenging.
But it's amazing because I think it was a different time, for sure. I understand that. But it's an amazing thing to happen to an individual. It's very unique because normally, especially that time when bands and boy bands or girl bands or mixed bands or whatever it was were coming together, it was like auditions and it was very like constructed.
Totally.
Your one is, in the nicest way, a complete fluke.
Sliding doors moment.
Sliding doors moment.
Totally.
That you were in there at the right time, at that moment.
It was meant to be. It's like it found me, for sure.
When something like that happens, I imagine. So if I was going to auditions and I was really trying for it and I was auditioning on the circuit, I was going to lots of different things and I wasn't getting jobs, but then I suddenly got one. I was like, oh my God, I would feel this real sense of, wow, I have done this. If you have just picked up in Sony, that would give me a sense of almost imposter syndrome because I'm like, well, should I be here? You know, that's what it would do to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you?
Oh my God. Yeah. Always. I've always had that. God, yeah. I still, I mean, imposter syndrome is such a, God, I don't even know where to start with it. Yes, I did. I mean, I was, you know, because the rest of the band got into the band through auditions. And yeah, so they'd come from like Sylvia Young and they'd come from singing like Joe had been on the singing circuit for a long time and they'd been in bands, and Brad had grown up with his producer parents, and Paul and Hannah were National Youth Music Theatre, and Tina went to dance college. So everyone had come from this world. So I kind of didn't, you know, and also I didn't really know my place at the time. I didn't know where I fit. At school, I didn't really know. I was never in the like. I didn't really ever feel like I fitted in. No, so I actually then got into the band, and I got to the point where I was like, wow, I found. And this was at a point where my family had kind of broken apart, and I was like, it gave me purpose, it gave me structure, it gave me, my God, it was like beyond exciting. It fueled like all my dreams that I'd had. It was like so many things. But yeah, imposter syndrome has been a thing throughout my whole life. And even obviously today, I think, I don't know, does any of us not have imposter syndrome? I don't know.
I think imposter syndrome is a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
And I would say more than you. How can I say more than you? But I've really battled with it because I came from a reality show, and man, when I first started doing the reality show, I thought I was the shit. I was like, no, honestly, for the first year, I was like, I think I'm the coolest person in the world. And then we won a BAFTA.
How old were you when you went into it?
I was 22.
Okay.
And we won a BAFTA. And I got on stage, and I don't think I've ever cheered as loudly winning a BAFTA. And I got on stage, and I've said this before, and I held this BAFTA, and I looked into the crowd, and I suddenly saw Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch and Graham Norton and all these people and Dawn French. And I was like, oh my God. And I suddenly realised that I was just a reality star and that I hadn't worked for it. I hadn't been to auditions. I hadn't sung. There was no talent. And I suddenly, this wave of imposter syndrome came over.
Just in that moment, for the first time?
For the first time. After about a year, and I was suddenly, oh God, I suddenly realised exactly, you know, where I sort of was. And it took a long time to shake it.
Yeah. Did you feel like you could share that with your friends who were in the same...
Are you kidding me? No ways.
Right.
I didn't say anything to anyone.
Right.
And so then, and I still get it today. I mean, if someone comes up and wants to take a photo of me and it's in a public place, I still go into myself. Oh God, oh my God, like that.
Right.
Because I feel that it's such a weird thing. I don't feel like I don't feel like I should be having it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? With any sort of feelings of vulnerability, we question everything, and it's like we're not. I think when we validate our feelings, we can then go, okay, that makes sense why I feel that way, and that's okay. And I think being in a place where you feel like you can share it and go, you know what, I think that really validates what we're feeling. But the more we kind of squash it all down, the more we're like in our heads, and that's when everything takes over. And I think imposter syndrome is just spawned from not feeling good enough. You know, whatever that feeling is, we're not enough in some way.
For loads of people listening right now, I think they have imposter syndrome, and whatever they're doing, maybe they're going for a job interview, maybe they're going for a stage audition, whatever it is. If I was your daughter sitting across from you and I was saying to you right now, I feel I had this feeling where I don't feel good enough, or I got this thing, what would you say to her?
I would probably, I would say, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. I'm really sorry you're feeling that way, because that's a really horrible feeling. I think through therapy, I've learned that, just through life, like empathy is the most powerful thing. I think when someone is feeling a certain way or they share a vulnerability with you, to be able to go, I hear you, and I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Can I do anything? I don't know, just really hearing them, I think gives, when I've really realised from parenting, when my youngest comes out of school and you get all the shit they've had, they're all being the best they can be at school, and then they come out of school, they're tired, and all of their like emotions come out at you. Their school bag gets chucked at you, everything. And we've come from our busy days, whatever stress we're carrying. But the minute I've really learnt this, the minute I say to her, oh, Minz, I'm sorry you're feeling really, I really hear her. It just diffuses everything. And it's quite a powerful thing.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
That is really good advice.
So, keeping it simple.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Sometimes when I try to overtalk, another thing I've learned through therapy is really let your child talk instead of you talk at them. So allowing them to get everything they're feeling out.
I should do that with my wife. Honestly,
we should do that with.
I should do that. Yeah,
we need to do that with all our
talk at her a lot, and she's like, "Just listen." Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I get it." We want
to fix things with the people we love, don't we? We just want to fix things and go, what can I do to help you? What do you need? You know.
Do you think you've overcome imposter syndrome now?
Oh God, no. Oh no.
Really? Even
No,
though being in the
no.
band, being as successful it was,
No.
doing what you've done, your achievements that you've had, you
No.
feel like it's still there?
Yeah, and you know, doing something like this today triggers my stuff a lot.
Why? Wait.
Right, because...
Hang on a sec. I'm
because-
going to give you a
yeah,
moment for
let's-
yourself.
yeah.
Okay. Rachel Stevens coming into the office today. Everyone's excited. Everyone's excited. Ben's normally not in on these. Ben is sitting here. Everyone upstairs is beyond
Ben.
excited because you're coming in. Because everyone not only loved your music that you've created in your band and your solo career, but the stuff that you've done and what you represent as a person. And what's interesting is that everyone shows that towards you, but you still can't feel it yourself.
I've done a lot of... I think I've done a lot of growing in the last few years, but like I said, because I do these I have these conversations so sporadically, I think it just... I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's not. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it doesn't come
right?
naturally because it's you're having these conversations sort of all over the place. So when you start sharing,
Well, publicly.
yeah,
I
of
guess.
course. Because if you're sharing these sort of emotions, normally you're in a room with a therapist, or
You're with your
family,
closest friends. But I think it
and
is
we're strangers, and we're sharing it.
But
yeah.
I love it too. I love conversation. I love sharing. I think conversation, being open, talking about things, is really powerful, and I love that. But yeah, it's one of my challenges, and sometimes I find it easier than other times. But I'm learning to lean into it and sit in the, sit in the shit.
Sit in the
mud,
shit right
they
now.
say, right?
Well, I want to say, even as we continue, thank you for doing this with us, because you're amazing and this is amazing. So to let you know.
Thank you.
Why did the band break up?
It started with, so Paul left for his own personal reasons, which we all supported, and then obviously the dynamics changed, and we'd been together we'd crammed a lot of stuff into, we weren't actually really together for that many years, but we crammed like 10 years worth of stuff into 4 or 5 years, and I think everybody. Well, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I probably would have stayed longer in it.
Would you?
I probably would have, but there was, everyone's got to be really in it together, and everyone had their own individual reasons for wanting to move on and try new things, and so you have to support that. And it was just time. And I think you look back at lots of different bands, and it kind of happens that way. One leaves, then it kind of, it kind of happens in a very similar way, doesn't it, in lots of different bands?
It's interesting that happens, because you kind of, the winning formula, I always think, is sticking together. And as soon as one person goes, the whole dynamic changes.
You're a powerhouse together, aren't you? If you're a team, any team,
because you were S Club 7, and then you had to rebrand as S Club, didn't you? Which is odd in itself. And then slowly these things, when it does finally stop, is there a sense of sadness? Is it a sense of relief? What do you feel at that point when it finishes?
It was just so weird to be every day together working on this incredible thing that's like a machine, like go, to then knowing, it's going to stop, but then it just stops.
Like that?
Well, it did, yeah. We were promoting our last single, so we were doing the rounds, like all the TV shows. We had our last performance. It's quite hard to, I found it quite hard to comprehend it.
Yeah.
And then we just all went our separate ways. But I think that shows, I obviously can't speak for anyone else, and we've touched on it since a little bit, but not much. But I think it shows a sense of where we were in our mental health, in our headspace, that we didn't go, guys, let's all, let's do something to, I mean, it was just literally a hard stop. Crazy.
It's mad.
It
It's
is
like being
mad.
on a treadmill and then suddenly
Yeah.
stopping it and saying, okay, what next? And your adrenaline is at a certain place, and then you suddenly have to figure things out.
It's kind of a bit of a blur now, looking back at it.
I heard what was interesting is that you said, and this sort of made me really think is that when the band finished, you all just got in your cars
Yeah.
and went separate ways.
Yeah.
And
How
that was
crazy
it.
is that?
And that's mad. And
Yeah.
it sort of, it's not one of these, because when you sort of think of bands and music and things like that, you think that it's a group of people that have come together.
Yeah.
It's not like that. You
Yeah.
guys were just sort of put together as young kids.
We were, and but we had such a. It is really interesting that we had the connection we had, considering we were put together in that way. But I think we were very strategically put together. You know, Simon Fuller had just had the Spice Girls, and that was a very different. You know, so he'd parted ways with them, and then was like, right, I'm going to form this band, and I think it was very strategic.
You launched your solo career, and firstly, how does that work? Just sort of break it down for me. Does someone come to you and say, "Hey, Rachel, I want to manage you for your solo career"? How does all of that work? And how do you even understand how to? I mean, for me, right? It's like starting a business. It's like, who's telling you these things? Who's helping you with this stuff? Who's helping you with the financials? Who's doing all the contracts?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I always knew I wanted to just keep going. I didn't know what it meant to
That's
stop.
your drive.
Yeah. But really, probably I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think where I was mentally, perhaps needed to just take a break. But then how do you do that? I didn't, you know, I had this amazing opportunity, and it was so incredibly exciting, and I had this amazing song, and I just kept going. And that's what I've realised from lots of learning and therapy, that I just always kept going and kept just, yeah.
Why reflecting on it, do you think you should have stopped? Why? What were you feeling at the time that you didn't even realise, but you now reflecting back
Well, I
realise?
think I should have stopped. I not necessarily should have stopped, but should have
been more present and conscious of what was going on.
But I didn't know how. I wasn't capable of that at that point. I just kept going. So yeah, and in hindsight, I mean, it's easier said than done, because you are where you are.
Were you worried it was going to stop? Is that the thing? Because I think a lot of the times that happens is when you have so much success and you're in a band that is so big and a TV show that is so big, and then that sort of stops. You think, well, it's all going to go.
Yeah.
In a second, so I need to keep going,
Yeah.
otherwise I'm going to be forgotten.
Yeah.
And someone who maybe suffers with anxiety, that fear of abandonment, fear of loss sort of seeps, and you go, okay, well, I got to keep going all the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't conscious. It was just, and also at the same time with that, what an incredible thing! I got to go into this whole solo project, and how amazing was that? You know,
It's amazing.
but I had to do a lot of learning on the job.
Yeah. I heard that the song Some Girls, Gerri Halliwell wanted.
Yes. Yeah.
What? Try and lean
Apparently
into this.
she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy.
Go on. Okay, this is your uncomfy moment. So lean into so. As Rachel shakes her head. So what happened in that moment? So someone says, "Oh, here's this song. We have this song, but someone wants it."
I had no idea she wanted it
Really?
at the time. No, I only found that like later on down the line.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that happen sometimes with songs where artists are all after it and it basically they decide, or whoever decides, it goes to someone?
Yeah. There's just a pool of writers, especially at that time. There was like a pool of writers, and so Kathy Dennis, for instance, wrote LAX, Toxic, Can't Get You Out of My Head, and one other one, all in the same weekend. So, you know, I guess the songs they then go, right, who's this going to go to? And yeah.
And so you get pitched these songs, and you go, yeah, I really like that. I want that one as well. And so then there's some sort of battle for it, because I also heard that LAX Britney Spears wanted.
I heard that too, but years later. So at the time, I had no idea.
Unbelievable! You're taking all these songs. Yeah, see you later.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Was when you're singing songs solo, and you've been in a band, and then you're suddenly doing a solo career. What's it like going on stage for the first time without your bandmates around you?
Oh my God, a mixture of. I remember my first show was Top of the Pops, and that was always obviously the big one. Oh my God, I was so excited, but so exposing. But I had my dancers with me, so it felt more exciting than anything.
Did
actually.
it?
I mean, I always got nervous though. I mean, that was just a given for me. Always got nervous, but I feel like nerves are a really good thing. It's just learning how to channel them, which I needed to learn.
S Club reunited.
Yep.
How did that all happen?
So we were 25 years. We got an email from Simon saying, how would you guys feel about celebrating this 25 years? And everyone was just really on board. And then we sort of set up our WhatsApp group and everything sort of grew from there. And we started planning and sort of creating it all.
Was it very exciting when it started to... The whispers started to happen?
Yeah, it was. It was exciting, but yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, it was.
But, you know, it was a really awful moment because Paul lost his life. And he's part of the band. And I can't even imagine the grief that you were going through, but also public grief. How do you, again, navigate your way through that?
We just took time to be together, and everything, all the plans obviously stopped, and we just took time to just, feel how we felt and remember him, and just lots of coming together. And all you can do in those moments is just feel and share, and there's nothing else you can do. And actually what was really beautiful was the tour became such a gorgeous tribute to him. So it was so lovely. And then once we kind of got around to processing what had happened, it kind of became a really beautiful memory of him, and something amazing to share with the fans as well. So it was beautiful how it all kind of turned out for him, to sort of tribute him.
Can you tell me about Paul? What was he like?
Oh my God, he was such a character. So quirky, eccentric, fun, just a brilliant energy to be around. And so it was so gorgeous getting to sort of spend time with him again in the last sort of before the tour, because I really saw him as the man he is now, like just sensitive, really gentle, lovely soul. So yeah, but totally quirky and eccentric and bonkers. He was just brilliant.
To sort of ask a personal question, your parents obviously got divorced. My parents got divorced when I was 8, and that was really tricky for me, but I imagine the same for you. And then you obviously had a separation yourself, and that's really tough. So how do you navigate your way through those things?
Let yourself feel. Surround yourself with people that fill you up and that you love, and that you feel like you can really have a safe space with. Do things that feel good, and give yourself a break. I think it's hard to sort of answer that in any other way, I think, because every situation's different, and you just kind of muddle your way through it, because feelings are so messy, aren't they? You just kind of, heartbreak and any of these feelings are painful, so you just kind of muddle your way through. But I think, surrounding yourself with people you love and looking after yourself and taking care of yourself is all you can do until you're through it.
Is there, and I don't even know why I'm relating it to this in any way, but let me put it on myself for once. When I was doing something like Made in Chelsea, right, I never really think it was going to end. I was like, it's going to be like this forever. And I think when you get married or whatever, the same thing sort of happens. Well, this is forever. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And, for lots of different reasons that doesn't happen. Was it the same with you as well when you go through S Club and you think this is going to just be forever, and then you go into your relationship a little bit and it's like, well, this is going to be forever and it ends. It's hard because suddenly it's like, well, what's happening here? Why is this just finishing?
Actually, no, the opposite for me.
Really?
Yeah, the opposite for me, because I think when my parents separated, it really shook my world.
Yeah.
And it was like the rug had been pulled from beneath my feet. Not just the separation, but where I was at, I guess, me being me, my relationship with my dad, everything that I thought was sacred and real and like true to me was kind of pulled away overnight. So from then on, and I think things that I went through leading up to that, I kind of learned to build these kind of protections so high that it's taken me so many years to like knock them down. So I think my protection was allow myself to get too close. Never let my
your guard down.
Yeah, never let my guard down and never
Really?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that stems from the relationship breakdown with my dad, because I absolutely just idolized him growing up, and then it kind of changed overnight. So I think that sense of, oh my God, that's when I had that moment of, oh my God, what, and then I think from then on, everything from then and then going into the band, everything was just like, no, just keep going and just keep going and don't let anyone in too much, because you can't have that heartbreak again.
That makes complete sense.
So it's been, and so I think when you do that, you isolate yourself from real love and connections, and you keep everything very small. And I did that for a very long time. So, and it's only really in the last few years that I've kind of, it's been a years and years and years of trying to unravel all of that and move through that.
I'm going to give you a high five.
Oh,
well done.
Thanks.
No, because
What's
I think.
that tattoo there, by the way?
Oh my God, please don't. They're the worst things in the world.
Live
a little.
Live a little.
Don't worry, I got a venture on the other side just in case I forget. They're honestly shocking. Divorce is a really tricky thing. And I went through it with my parents when I was 8 years old, and it was never really discussed.
Right.
Nothing was discussed.
Yeah, just
suddenly they're
right.
just
I know,
not
just
together.
not. I know. When you said that divorce is hard, it is really hard.
Yeah.
But I think it can be made a little easier when you
totally
talk to your kids and help them understand. And as they then get older, they're like, oh, okay. But to have that without no sense of discussion or conversation,
because back in the day they thought it was easier.
Yeah.
We won't say anything because this is easier.
Well, it is. It's like that thing of, there's so many moments with my kids where I could just go, oh, do you know what? Just for a quiet, it's a different situation, but it is sometimes easier. Yeah, like you're saying, to just skim over.
I've got my own emotions I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with all of this.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
it's painful.
the kids.
It's painful.
Whatever.
And you want to, protect your kids so fiercely as a parent. You just want to protect them. And how do you have that conversation with them? I mean, I was so scared having that conversation with my kids. It was just, we both were, and we planned it to precision. I mean, we were very lucky that we had therapy together of how, some advice and guidance, how to tell our then,
good on
what
you
were they,
guys.
like 11 and 8, 9, it's like, it's really challenging.
What
you
do
just
you
want to
say
protect
in
them.
that moment?
Well, we made sure we did it in the morning, so they weren't tired, and we'd planned breakfast together, and then we made sure that we were with them for the rest of the day. And we just said, honestly, it feels like a little bit like a blur now, but I remember one of the things we said is, we always are going to be your mum and dad. We're never ever going to. We're always going to be together. We're always going to be there for you. We love you. Those were the things we were sort of affirming more than anything. But other than that, it was just.
It's almost vomiting, isn't it? You just you
Yeah.
have to. It's almost worse, I imagine, than the actual breakup, because
Yeah.
it's just like, these are the people that we're trying to look after and
No,
protect
exactly.
and everything.
Well, breakup in any way is so painful, because you never want anyone. You're just so scared of hurting anyone. But when you have kids in that situation, it's just like, it's so, painful, and you question everything.
You did mention that you said that you look back at S Club 7 and it just fills you with anxiety because there was a lot, you look at it and say, well, I was just anxious all the time.
Yeah.
Is that fair for me to say or no?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, there were lots of wonderful, really wonderful times, lots of amazing times. But yeah, I've suffered with anxiety all my life, though. So it's something that I've
Welcome,
had to work.
snap.
So it's something that I've had to work on throughout my whole life. And so, yeah, I was always anxious. Not always anxious, but I did have a lot of anxiety. And I overthink everything. I worry. Yeah.
I think anyone listening now knows exactly what you're saying. Anxiety is one of the, it's one of life's cruel lessons. It is, my journey with anxiety, probably similar to yours, has not been that great. And for many years, I just tried to suppress it and put it away. And then actually, the way to sort of attack anxiety is to accept it.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time.
Feel it,
accept it.
I think anxiety is feelings that have just been have not expressed feelings, you know, and you talk about it the same, like you didn't have that growing up. So we a lot of us don't have that, you know. Feelings are can be quite scary, can't they? And I think trying to parent, especially for our parents and the sort of past generations, they didn't have the education that we have now about mental health or the access to therapy or all these different therapies that are out there. So we've all grown up in this kind of like suppressed
culture.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you.
And we're trying to break the cycle, aren't we, with our kids now?
I mean, completely, but we have phones and social media and everything.
Right.
It's honestly, it's a nightmare. How do you now channel your nerves? Because I think that's the one thing that people suffer with so much. And actually what it does a lot of the time, I think, with nerves, is it stops us from doing stuff because, I can't possibly do that because it's outside of my comfort zone. I'm too nervous to do that. How do you channel your nerves now in a positive way in order to make yourself get over those things?
I think it's constant. Well, for me, myself, I'm constantly like working on myself, really. Questioning whether you're saying no to doing something because you're too scared of it or whether it's not right for you at that time or whatever. Sort of knowing how to set boundaries with things. Because it is easy to just go, oh God, no, that feels too exposing or scary or...
I totally get it. I for so long suffered with so many nerves, and then I just sort of starting to have this attitude where I was just like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and do it rather than just think about the
exactly.
nerves.
Just not think about it and just do it.
Because
or was it like a fake it till you make it kind of thing?
I think a little bit, but I think because I you know, if we, you know, your book, for example, Finding My Voice, which I love the title. I think it's amazing. Surely that must have been so nerve-wracking for you to write, especially because you're someone who tenses up when you have to talk about certain things and stuff like that. How was the sort of journey of writing it?
It was a bit of everything. It was really empowering at times. It was really challenging in the fact that sometimes I was quite resistant to writing it. It was made me feel really vulnerable. It made me feel excited. I mean, so many different feelings around it. But it really was such an incredible learning process. I mean, I think whenever you're doing something new for the first time, you learn as you go. And then after, I don't know if you find this, after you're like, oh, okay, things kind of slot into place. But while you're doing something for the first time, it's new. So you're just kind of finding your way with it. Do you find that?
I know exactly what you mean. What were you resistant to, though?
You know, I think personally, I was, you know, in the last few years, I've moved house 3 times. I've got loads of things going on with the kids, work, lots of different things. And I think it was sort of going into a place that felt uncomfortable, maybe. I think that's what I was resistant to. But it was, I learned so much, you learn. I feel so lucky to have the opportunity to do it because you're just constantly learning all the time.
I think a lot of us, like if I bring myself back to being 19 years old, my God, Oh my God.
What are you like a 19-year-old? Probably very similar.
Fucking idiot. Oh, like in so many ways. I was trying to be cool. I was trying to be this. I was trying to be that. I was trying to be, my God.
Everything you think everyone expects of you.
And more.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even in the public eye.
Yeah.
I wasn't in one of the biggest bands. I think your teens and your 20s is the hardest place in your life to navigate who you are, because we're trying to figure out everything about us. And you have to do that while being on show. So therefore, you're so right. What you do is you pick a role. You go, okay, I'm going to be this. And then you go for it. And that's maybe not you, but then you're stuck being this person.
Yeah. And, everything just got kind of layered. And I just kind of... And it kind of worked for a while, because it was like, we have our protections, don't we? That's what we do to protect our sort of vulnerabilities or the ways we feel very exposed. And so it worked for a while. I was like comfortable sitting in that space, to the point where, as I was growing, there was so much going on in there. And it was like, okay, this is not serving me in any way now. So it was like unraveling all of that stuff,
But what role do you think you were playing? Because I've heard you say you've looked back at interviews of yourself when you were that age and you go, that's just not me.
Yeah, I don't even recognise my voice, which is really interesting. It goes back to that thing of finding my voice. I feel like I just was in there, but just didn't sort of... And I don't mean in every element of my life. Obviously, I had people my small little group of people that I kind of allowed in, who I felt like I could really be myself with.
You just didn't have your voice at all.
Well, I did, but I just struggled in the sort of public sense. The public sense of, I played that, nice. It was very, very, things became very much about my looks and how I, the outward, everything. And also at that time, everything was very, very surface. It wasn't like it is now, where people really, mental health wasn't a thing. People didn't really, like we were saying, still even at that point, didn't talk about their feelings or anything like that. So everybody was seeing this shiny surface, and it did, like I said before, it felt safe for a while, because it stopped any feeling of feeling exposed or really people seeing my vulnerability, I guess.
You're so right. You were basically seen as a 2D person, not a 3D person.
Yeah.
It was all looks and this and shiny. You're like this shiny doll, and you have to...
Exactly. And
that's
it kind of mimicked...
really tricky.
Yeah, it kind of mimicked how I a lot of how I felt growing up as well. I was kind of the girl between two brothers, and I was very much I was in a world where a lot of emphasis was put on looks and not about, who you are, how do you fit, being seen or being heard, that type of thing.
Can I ask a really personal question? When you grow up, being in a band, being in life, and everyone just tells you all the time how pretty you are, and God, you're beautiful, and all those kinds, because that's what was showered on you all the entire time. What does that do? Because one would expect that gives you a lot of confidence. Oh my God, and this, that. But it feels like it did a little bit the opposite to you in some ways.
Yeah, I think, like you said, when someone gives you a compliment, it's so lovely. But I think if there's not that sort of foundation or outlet to be yourself or feel validated in your feelings, all those things, I think a lot of outward affirmation is quite dangerous, and I really try having two girls myself I think it's, like I said, lovely to compliment, but it's also really affirming, really listening to them, really listening to their opinions, really conversation, like just being really present to hear.
Not just surface level,
which is really challenging, being where, I've got a 13-year-old now we're really struggling with, because she's in that world of social media and TikTok and likes and all of those things. And trying to have those conversations with my 13-year-old is bringing up a lot of challenges, to try and help her see how amazing she is inside. And it's not just about the exterior,
I know exactly what you mean. I was trying to figure it out. It's exactly that. It's so important growing up that we have that real sense of self and that real sort of I don't know, glowing bulb within us that is confident.
That foundation,
That foundation,
exactly.
that it doesn't really matter. The outside stuff, that's just the shell.
Yeah.
What's on the inside? And if you just compliment someone on their shell,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're so pretty.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
actually get that inner core. And so then everything is about looks.
Yeah.
And so you become obsessive over it the whole time.
Yeah. And you become very, we live in a world like that too. We do live in a world where everything is, we are judged from our external anyway, aren't we? So yeah, no, it's it's really challenging.
I hope you feel like this hasn't been a therapy session because I feel like we've gone really deep together.
We did go really deep.
Loved it. Okay, you ready for your questions?
Yes.
Okay, what's a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
Can I make you a cup of tea?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
So recently I went on this retreat called the Body Camp. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And we all had to do this really lovely thing where you have your own book for the week and you have to write about after a few days of sort of getting to know each other, you write what you think of the person next to you and you just pass it around like the table. There's 20 of us. I took a picture of it because it was just some of the things they said were so gorgeous. Okay, it has been great to get to know you. You are open, honest and authentic. You have a calming energy and are a pleasure to be around. How sweet is that?
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that a lovely thing though that they got us to do that? Because it's so rare that you really... Well, I love to compliment people, but we don't as a rule.
I agree.
And
It's
share
so
it
nice.
with the other person. Isn't it? It's so nice.
That's
to say
everything
nice things.
That's everything what I like as well. What scares you most about yourself?
Going deep sometimes. And one of the publicly and one of the quote that really, really resonates me is that we're not scared of our inadequacies, we're scared of our power. And it really, really resonates with me.
Just so I understand, just for people, what are you scared of? Are you scared people will judge? Are you scared of people, of yourself? Why are you so afraid sometimes to share publicly?
Are we going deep again?
Yeah, we are.
Jamie?
I've gone. I don't
We're
know why.
going
I
deep
don't,
again.
I'm so sorry.
Jeez.
I just can't help myself. I can't.
I love a deep convo.
Yeah.
Why do I
Yeah.
say? I think
I'm asking you to go deep when you don't like
I'm
going
going to
deep.
go deep. No, I do like going deep. It's just
Just
sometimes
not
it's
in
challenging
this-
publicly,
Yeah.
but that's a good thing because it's
Here we go.
important to
Yes.
share an open conversation. So I think it's brilliant. I'm going to lean into it.
Here we go.
I think. Ask me the question again.
Why do you find it so hard to go deep and be vulnerable in a public space?
That wasn't the question.
I know it wasn't. I
That
know.
wasn't the question.
Are you? That's it. Why? You said you're scared to share. I said, what are you scared of? Are you scared people are going to judge you? Are you scared that you're not being perfect? What is it?
I think I learned as I was growing to not be too anything, not be too big, not be too, because I think naturally I am. I think we all are, actually. We're all such full,
Wow.
like, incredible, with so much
Individuals,
in us. Individual. And I think sometimes you can have that message of it's too much for people. And I think, and I've really grown through that, but it's...
Did someone say you were too much?
I'm sure they did at some point. Yeah, I'm sure they did at some point. But I think I did. I'm not going to say I think. I subconsciously learnt that growing up, that don't be too this, don't be too that. Just be, and I learnt to sort of keep myself safe and small. So to not be too big. So yeah.
Sense to protect yourself. Almost.
Yes.
I get it. Because someone tells you to do that, then you sort of stay in this little bubble.
Yeah, but if you have that messaging from a little girl, it's something that you have to really sort of push through. And I think a lot of us have those messages and labels put upon us, but it's learning that they're other people's stuff and they're not our stuff, that people project on us.
And once you learnt it, it's very hard to unlearn sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
When was the last time you cried and why?
I cried laughing the other night. Well, I kind of a bit of both. So both my girls had the most mammoth fight about hairbrush, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was so exhausted, and my partner Brendan was really exhausted, and we were just chilling in bed, and all of a sudden these two powerhouses came in, and they were just having this most massive, I can't even begin to tell you what it was like, fight. And we were both like, we couldn't help but like, you either laugh or cry.
This is too much.
It was just hilarious, but also like, wow, this is just like...
This is too much. I love it that you laugh. You were gonna cry.
Yeah.
You had to laugh.
Yeah.
What's something you can't let go of?
So I'm in this process of clearing out at the moment. My clothes. I'm constantly clearing out clothes. I love clothes so much, and I've realised that there's some things that are really hard to let go of. Very like emotionally attached to my certain clothes, and there's things that I haven't worn for ages. I'm like, right, I'm gonna donate that, and then I'll try it on, and then I go, oh, actually, maybe, and so yeah, I've got to be ruthless.
It's a good one. I think everyone has that.
Yeah.
I might wear this pink
that I've not worn for like 10 years.
Yeah, I bought, could you not? Sophie, my wife, can't have that. I bought a Saint Laurent short-sleeved pink shirt with round white circles on it. I look like Mr. Blobby. I thought I'd lost one, so I bought another.
Is that the look you were going for? Or?
I thought it was cool. I thought I'd lost one, so I bought another one. They were £700 each. This was in my days where I just was like spending any money I had. I've worn it once.
Did Sophie hide it?
I still keep it. She's trying to throw it out. I'm like, no, one day I'll wear it. I got two of them.
But it's an emotional attachment. I get that.
It's just the most ridiculous money I've ever spent on a stupid shirt. What's something you'd be embarrassed for people to know you like or want?
I love the cheesiest love songs. I'm like the biggest soppy romantic. So give me a good power ballad. A good 80s power ballad.
Which is your favourite?
Oh, God. The first one, randomly, that came to my mind was Jennifer Rush. Why did that come to my mind?
What's that one? I know Jennifer Rush.
The Power of Love.
Oh, The Power of Love.
No.
Oh, okay.
What's it called?
Not the...
I am your lady. The Celine Dion did.
I am your lady.
Yes, that one. Should we do a duet?
I would... It would honestly make my life. It would honestly... Shall we? Okay.
Yeah.
Go on, okay.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay, we'll talk after. Okay. What turns you off?
Judgmental people and narrow-minded people.
Great one. What turns you on?
What turns me on? What turns me on? Oh, lots of things. Food.
Good one.
Love food.
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
Food's a great one. What do you like most about yourself?
That I'm loyal, and I am very passionate about taking myself out of my comfort zone and being the best version of myself, like learning all the time to grow and be the best me I can be.
I had a great quote from Aristotle, which I actually was going to post, and then I just thought it was too cheesy. But I
love cheese. You should always. I think,
really?
Yeah,
okay, good.
I'm
all about it. The quote is, "You are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence should be a habit, not an act."
Say that again.
You are what you repeatedly do. So excellence should be a habit, not an act. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, we just keep being excellent all the time.
Yeah.
Make it a habit.
Love that.
Yeah, it was a good one. Bonus one. Favorite swear word.
The standard shit.
Yeah, good one.
Is always a good
Strong.
one. Or fuck.
Yeah,
it's always a good one.
Strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. I liked it. Quickly, you were FHM sexiest women alive. That's a flex.
That is a flex.
It is a flex. That is insane, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No, it is. Listen, I really enjoyed that. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was really fun. It was really fun, yeah.
I think you should enjoy it. Listen, if I was dubbed world's sexiest man, I don't think I would let anyone
Everyone would know about it.
It would be, as you walked in the office, it would be on the wall. It would be right there.
And so it should be.
So it should be. Rachel, thank you for being so amazing.
Oh,
And
thanks for having me.
I imagine this was quite tricky for you in lots of ways, as you said a few times, but you really have opened up.
We went deep, Jamie.
You,
we
and
went deep.
you allowed me to, and you, I think, trusted me in some ways to do an okay job. So I really appreciate it, and I want everyone to go and get your book, and we'll leave all the links in the description and follow everything you're doing because you're incredible. So thank you so much for coming on,
you.
and I adore you.
Oh, I adore you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Just thank you.
And you're amazing.
Oh, bless you.
You're
Thank
amazing.